So we need to train those algorithms to respect a human, to create like a safe zone where the algorithm will not in any way be against humans, because humans, we breed, we die, therefore we are like a liability. AI can say,
Sure.
why should I even defend that human, because this is costing me a lot of money. Sending CO2 to the atmosphere is going to die. The day that happened, let's say that we are in 2033 today, or 32, and quantum computers are there. If those computers arrive in the hands on the wrong, but this could go into the hands of a rogue government or a terrorist group, that could really create an unknown and massive damage, like breaking credit cards, breaking banking system, destroying city controls of light, traffic, disrupting airliners. So that is still based on RSA security and triple DES and traditional security, which has been there for 45 years, and quantum computer with a very, very limited amount of computers, so you don't need hundreds of them, you just need maybe 2 or 3, will be able to break all that.
I am super excited because I'm bringing on Fabio Giordano again on the channel, and he this morning had an interview with Carlos Moreira, the CEO of SealSQ, ticker symbol LAES, and he did a fantastic job. This interview was over an hour long, and I wanted to go over the interview, kind of pick Fabio's brain about this and kind of see what he was thinking when he was asking the questions, and if he was surprised with any of the answers. Fabio, welcome back, and congratulations on the interview with the CEO of SealSQ. How crazy is that? How crazy is that?
Dude, hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me back on the channel.
Yeah, of course.
I'm still on cloud 9. I can't believe it. Majid, how many people that are investors can clearly say that they have had the opportunity to talk to their CEO about anything and everything, but also be able to start bridging the gap between company to retail investors and even get institutional investors fired up?
I mean, it shows the power of retail too, right? Like, it's like so hard to get some of these CEOs to say anything, like Big Bear AI CEO. Like, I've never heard him talk or barely ever hear him talk. But the fact that he A, agreed to do an interview with you, and B, spent over an hour and answered question after question, and you didn't give him softballs, like you asked him real questions and there was real depth to the interview. So I'm going to give you your flowers, man. Hats off. I was there live this morning, listening the whole time, and I rewatched it just in prep for this interview, listened to it again on my headphones, and you did an awesome job. And there was a lot to unpack,
Yeah, definitely. Majid, I just want to say it's an honor and a privilege to be able to have done this, not only for my channel, but for your channel and for the entire retail community. Shout out to LAES. Let's go, baby.
And this is an exciting time also for quantum, because we saw Microsoft and Meta report today. But guess what? Microsoft, what did they say today? They said that quantum computing is going to be the next big accelerator in the cloud.
That's right. And you know what was interesting is when I was rewatching the interview as a watch party with my community earlier this afternoon, some of them were commenting and saying, what's going on with quantum? And I couldn't figure it out until news broke out on investors.com that quantum is now going to accelerate the cloud for Microsoft. And we actually saw back in, I think it was June, where they traveled to Switzerland and they had invested over $400 million. But that's more so like a little bit off to the side. But we saw IonQ rise over 5%. D-Wave was up 6%. LAES caught a little bit of a bid, and it's moving overnight as well. So, you know, I think quantum's going to have a fantastic day, you know, despite all of the crazy volatility and economic data that we've gotten from the markets this entire week. And we're not done. You know, August 1st is a huge deadline. We got trade deals. So, you know, anything can happen. But as of right now, I'm really excited to see what's going on with quantum. Shout out to the whole community.
Heck yeah. It's an exciting time to be in this quantum investing world and just to be interested in quantum computers and quantum cybersecurity. So
For sure.
what I thought we would do is just kind of do a recap for the audience. I want to kind of play some clips. So Fabio and I have both rewatched the interview and kind of picked our favorite parts. And we want to rewatch this with you all, like some key moments and highlights, hear from the CEO, and then give our thoughts as well.
Absolutely. So let me get started with this first one. I believe I was talking to Carlos, and in this clip in particular, I believe we were talking specifically about the multiple arms of LAES. So let's go ahead and play the clip, and let's get the audience hyped up about what Carlos had to say here.
Go. So we are at the genesis of the infrastructure, so we understand very well the infrastructure.
Yeah, for sure, Carlos. And you know what's interesting? When I first discovered the company, I actually didn't really realize that it was bigger than just a semiconductor. I have a background in investing in semiconductors, and when I found your company, I found it really interesting. But as I started to learn more about SealSQ and WiseKey, it's not just a semiconductor, and it's not just satellites. It's an entire ecosystem.
So as you say, the verticalization of the technology assets in different companies allows us to be very specialized on each of them, but at the same time to create convergence between them, right?
Right.
So when WiseKey has a cryptography root key, which is one of the dominant root keys. 6 billion devices have already, your mobile phone, your microcomputer, all that has already a WiseKey cryptography root key embedded already from factory. Nice. So it took us 19 years to deploy that ecosystem, and that basically is a trust anchor into the hardware. So it's a trust component that makes your hardware trusted versus something that is not trusted. So later we start to say, what about if we do the same thing at the microchip level? What about if we put that software into the microchip? Microchip companies are utility companies in terms of using the chip for all sort of automation processes, but they are not really companies that they care too much about trust or security. There's more functionality. They're focused, like NVIDIA with the AI, or ARM or NXP. Those companies sell a lot of chips, but their concerns about cybersecurity, neutrality, issues related to governance, they are not really their main concern. And the market is asking for that now, right? Countries are saying, okay, I want to install 100 billion chips in my country, but I want to be under my root key. I don't want to have a foreign root key doing that for me, because I'm giving too much power to that country that is going to do that for me.
So I want to just briefly talk about why this is really important to give everybody that's watching in the background. So I've mentioned that I invested in semiconductors before. So I used to be an investor in both NVIDIA and AMD. And what I find really interesting about this is that Carlos confirmed that there's 6 billion devices that have a root key from WiseKey. And it's like, what? How did we not know this? And what was really interesting as well, Majid, is he also kind of talks about later on in the interview, like the need and want for like more chips. So when he talked about this, and the viewers can see when they watch the interview, that he didn't talk about chips in the millions or the billions. He thinks that within the next 3 years, it's going to be trillions. Because there's going to be just so many devices. We're talking mobile phones, automation from robotics, financial institutions, armies, militaries, drones. Like it's insane, and even satellites too, because satellites are vulnerable to getting hacked. So yeah, I love that one.
I liked how you also kind of pointed out that this company is more than just chips. It's a whole ecosystem.
Right. And I was under the same impression too when I first invested in them back in late November. I said, you know what? I thought that it was just chips. But as I dug deeper and I did deeper due diligence, no, it's satellites. No, it's more than just that. It's an entire ecosystem. This was really fascinating. This was the Leonardo da Vinci moment.
It was so cool when he said that.
Yeah. So let's have a listen, and let's show the viewers what we got a chance to witness this morning.
And that's normally people that they have visions. It's people that they have experience, and you need that experience in order to be able to be accurate in your visions. So we see now the convergence is great, because that is exactly what happened in the Renaissance, where Leonardo da Vinci was there when mathematics, architecture, sculpture, literature, all that converge, and that allows us to create a new society. And we are in that process. We're in the fourth industrial revolution, right? So the fourth industrial revolution has an amazing benefits for everything. You can start to see them, but it's also a very dangerous moment, right? Because those convergence are creating exponentiality between technologies. For instance, the arrival of quantum. I mean, we are talking about quantum security, but quantum is also a supercomputer capability that will be able to accelerate AI, to convert AI into AGI. So basically, we lose control of AI. And this is not only me saying that. The founders of OpenAI and Google founder, all of them, they are saying, be careful, because we are putting genie out of the box here. I mean, we could very well lose control. And why? Because technology exponentiality doesn't need a human intervention anymore. They are taking decisions between themselves. So that's where the transhuman code came. That was a few years ago in Davos, where I go every year, the World Economic Forum, and you have a lot of technology leaders there and political leaders. And I warn them about, okay, exponentiality is great. What we are doing on AI is amazing. The quantity of data that we are able now to analyze, but the AI doesn't know what a human is. I mean, if you ask ChatGPT, what is a human, or even you ask who I am, it will not be able to answer, because he has not been trained to even define a human. You can define a human in so many different ways. You can say a human is a carbon, and a robot is a synthetic, and that's the only difference we have. The rest is going to be totally equal. So we need to train those algorithms to respect a human, to create like a safe zone where the algorithm will not in any way be against humans, because humans, we breed, we die, therefore we are like a liability. AI can say, why should I even defend that human, because this is costing me a lot of money, sending CO2 to the atmosphere, is going to die, we're not going to be able to collect their experience, therefore it's a liability for us, right? Robots can do that. So this is where in the ecosystem of companies we always put human at the center of the gravity. That's the word we say. You can have a lot of things around you, AI, you can accelerate, you can even enhance if you wish, or medical enhancement of human, why not? But without destroying the human identity. And then
he hit a really important point that I think a lot of us that are invested in the AI spaces are really concerned about. It's this imminent threat of AI robot that we saw in Hollywood so many years ago with Will Smith. If you guys ever watched that video. And I love the fact that he actually talked about his book, The Transhuman Code, where, I mentioned even in the interview, it's about convergence. It's about keeping humanity, right, in an accelerated world where AI and robotics and technologically is advancing very, very quickly. And what's interesting is a lot of the hype is around the technology and looking at quantum technology, but we're not looking at quantum that's going to aid the humans. So I love the fact that he actually talked about it. And this is also kind of the niche market that they're focusing on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it behooves all of us to think about where we are in the course of human history, right? So it's fascinating that he brings up Da Vinci and sort of all the events that happened all in like a short period of time, like just decades, where science and math and all of these things converged. And now we're at this point with AI and technology and quantum computers and GPUs and increasingly powerful large language models, increasingly powerful equipment to run those on, when we're like on the doorstep of AGI, and this small company here, SealSQ, finds themselves saying, hey, we need to get ready for this. I think later in this interview, I hope we roll this clip, but he says, if you know a virus is coming, you don't just sit and wait to get sick.
So it kind of leads me into my next question. You've talked about this many times. Post-quantum cryptography, we need it now. We don't need it in like 4 to 5 years. Why do we need it now, so that everybody that's watching us live can understand why it's a need now and not when the quantum attack happens?
Yeah, I mean, the now is due timing, right? Because as you say, the CEO of NVIDIA was saying that this is actually a 30 years issue. And he made only a comment. It was not a statement. He was answering a journalist, right? And this was misunderstood. He clarified that later. But anyway, when you say something is in 30 years, investors and technology say, why to bother? Let's wait until we reach near to that deadline to take actions, right?
Sure.
But then he corrected because Google came with Willow, Amazon came with a core, quantum core, and Rigetti and IonQ. All these companies made progress on developing quantum computers, and then the consensus was obviously that this is going to be faster. It's going to be between 3 and 5 years, and this could be even accelerated, because there are new development now where we are increasing the capability of creating qubits, which is what it's all about, right? If we are at 10 qubits, if we are 100 qubits, then that computer will break everything. So the consensus now, this is going to be faster. And if it's faster, the day that happened, let's say that we are in 2033 today, or 32, and quantum computers are there. If those computers arrive in the hands on their own people, I don't expect Google, obviously, or Amazon to play breaking people's security. That will not be their objective. But this could go into the hands of a rogue government or a terrorist group that could really create an unknown and massive damage, like breaking credit cards, breaking banking system, destroying city controls of light, traffic, disrupting airliners. So that is still based on RSA security and triple DES and traditional security, which has been there for 45 years, and quantum computer with a very, very limited amount of computers, you don't need hundreds of them, you just need maybe 2 or 3, will be able to break all that. So we are.
So I want to stop it here because we also have to get into like the more important thing, which is like the insurance stuff, but I just want to quickly talk about this. I love the fact that he talked about why the time is now, and he brought up rogue governments. And the first thing I thought of, and I actually talked to him about this off screen, is the threat of China. We do not know what's going on over there. It's dark. We don't know how many qubits their quantum computers have. We have no idea if they're accelerating it with oscillators. We have no idea. But I'll tell you something. I think their government has a political agenda to want to break Bitcoin, want to break into finance, want to break into banks. They have an agenda here. And it leads into the next point, Majid, which is what we've talked about on the channel many, many times before. It's the insurance and the legal and the bank stuff. But before we get into that, the next thing I wanted to show was the virus. But I want to give you a chance to also.
No, I mean, let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling. This is exciting.
Okay, man. Cool. So Carlos then continues on. And at this moment, he talks specifically about why we don't wait for a virus outbreak to happen to be able to come out with a vaccine. Let's have a look.
Viruses arriving. You're not going to wait that the virus is there, like happened last time, by the way, to develop the vaccine, right?
Sure.
You rather develop the vaccine before and vaccinate everybody. So when the virus arrives, the casualties are limited. The same thing happens here. We are in that situation where we know that something very serious is arriving, but companies, they are now calling us, CEOs, board, insurance company, and they are saying, wow, what is my level of liability here if I don't take the right decision? Because this is a natural liability. It's not a nice to have, it's a must to have. If I have a bank and I have my money in the bank, and the bank, because there was negligent in developing the right post-quantum strategy, gets hacked one day with a quantum computer, I can take legal action against that bank and say, hey guys, you have all the time you need it, why you didn't protect yourself, right?
Correct.
So this is what's happening now. The industry is learning. And that's why if you see the trading behavior of SealSQ and you compare with any other quantum company, it's actually the same. When they go up, we go up. When they go down, we go down.
Right.
That shows that investors, that they are investing in the quantum, they are also investing in the post-quantum, in the security. Actually, I will be in New York in this quantum conference in October. The 19th of October is a very big quantum conference where we are all together, and this is going to be one of the major discussion points, right?
So when he talks about that particularly, Majid, we clearly see he watches the market. So as investors, we're watching the market. The fact that he's even talked to me about volume, how the stocks all move together as an industry, it's incredible. I can't remember if like the parts that we timestamped together, if he's going to talk about the analysts, but one of the things he told me later on in the interview, and again, this is something that the viewers can watch, is that there's no analyst on Wall Street that's a hybrid analyst. You have cybersecurity analysts, you have semiconductor analysts, and you have pure quantum analysts. But Carlos has said that he has had to talk to a dozen of them probably, and I'm speculating here when I say that, but a very good majority of them, and try to educate them on, you need to look at our company as a hybrid. We are all 3 in 1. We are not just a pure cybersecurity play or a pure semiconductor play or a pure, whatever you want to call us, quantum company. We are completely different.
Yeah. And when you bring insurance into this, like he's talking about insurance, this is where I love how he says it's not a nice to have, it's a must have.
Yes.
Because if a bank gets hacked, right, and they had all this time to become post-quantum ready and post-quantum secure, then someone can say, you didn't do your duty to protect your fiduciary duty to protect my money. And now I'm suing you. And it would be an unmitigated disaster if this were to happen the way he's explaining it. And he's also saying you don't need that many quantum computers to even pull this off. He said just a few. And then he also
it's not
saying
just one.
Yeah.
Like
and you bring up China, and I've been talking about this since I started the channel this year.
Yes.
And this was confirmed in the MIT Quantum Index report that they released in 2025. The China is very strong in quantum networking on what they're reporting. Mm-hmm. That's the very key nuance there on what they're reporting. What they aren't reporting is the blind spot, right? That we don't know. And that's where we assume that US companies and European companies are ahead in quantum and building quantum computers, but some people think maybe we're not. So that's where the danger lies. And I think you're correct to point out that there could be motivations there that China has that are not as nice as perhaps other countries or one of our big tech companies.
Yeah. And you know what? Carlos even confirmed it too. Why are we still on obsolete 45-year-old defense technology when we live in 2025? The world has significantly accelerated since then. So, these technological breakthroughs, they're coming. So why not get ready now? And why wait till the very last moment to implement something that could literally stop you from getting sued or even take on a massive business liability that could literally break your business? To me, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, the short answer will be it just won't be optional.
Correct.
Sooner rather than later, as insurance companies realize the amount of risk they're exposed to. And I have a background in insurance. Like for a little while, I did insurance. So I understand the second something is, there's some moss on that roof or you got in 2 accidents, the set dropped.
Yeah, absolutely.
And these are all the biggest companies in the world that rely on these insurance policies. And
yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about this really cool clip. And people always ask me, well, does SealSQ have any major clients? They do. And they sell naked chips to them. And that's Cisco.
Ready to defend a problem that might happen in 3 to 5 years time, right? So because it takes time, because even if you buy the chip and you are Cisco, which is a big client from us, you need to engineer that chip into your system, electronics, your operating system. So it's something that takes a while from the moment you buy the chip to the moment you make the object functional around the TPM capabilities of the chip, right? So, but the big news is that we are talking about potential trillions of chips that they need to upgrade to the next generation post-quantum chips.
There you go, Majid. Remember we were talking about this earlier? There's the confirmation. Trillions of chips. Cisco, man. Cisco's been around for decades in the United States. So I don't know, man. Like this was
Yeah.
a new update for me, and this was a fire moment for me. I was like, oh my God, man.
Yeah, and you asked
This
so
is
many
incredible.
questions and you got a lot out of them. I think more than a Wall Street analyst would have, or Bloomberg, or anyone. I think you really asked him a lot of great questions. So I'm excited to keep watching and seeing what
I
you
just
think.
wanted to really stop that because that was a
Yeah.
huge moment. And I think everybody got super fired up. You know what's funny? Before we continue, the amount of DMs and text messages that I was getting from the Reddit community when he said this, everybody was sending me rocket ships. It was so funny.
He talked about also the expansion into the US, which I think we're going to roll some tape on that as well. Hopefully.
Yes.
And he identifies the US as where things are happening in a key market. And he said he'll have updates by the end of the year, I believe is what he said.
Correct. Yeah, I'm really excited to play that part of the clip, but let's get back to this for a second.
And then you have also the post-quantum software, which does not require a chip because there are many objects you don't want to put a chip on it, right? Because they are too low cost. And you just don't need to do it. You can put it into a trust zone, software zone, where you can inject the chip. And then we are thinking also other possibilities like putting AI at the device level. AI is at the cloud level mainly now, but not at the device level. Nobody's putting AI at the device level, and that will be one of the areas where we are going to invest a lot of resources in the future to make those objects intelligent. So that means your camera, your connected car, your drone. All the devices will learn about the attack, and they will auto self-programming themselves in order to defend that attack. It's like an immunity system reacts against a virus, right? So this is the roadmap of the company as we move forward.
Yeah, dude. Every time I watch this back, it's just like fireworks in my head. Bullish. Like, forget it. Take my money, you know? Because I've even knocked it on the channel too. It's like, dude, how do I get more shares?
Yeah.
Anyways.
And I think investors are fairly frustrated with the offering and then the tokens and coins and that type of thing. I think he does talk about it. I don't know if we're actually rolling that clip, but I know that investors have been frustrated and the stock has gone down recently, but that's also the volatile nature of trading in quantum.
Well, yeah, actually, I want to kind of quickly comment on that before I roll the next clip, which is the move to the USA. But I think there's more than just like quantum companies that are like moving to treasuries. Carlos talks about it more so as a use case, but I also see it as an opportunity for them to raise more money, even though he's even said in this interview, they don't really need to raise more money. It's just more about if they are going to make a dilution, it's because they want to make an aggressive move. And usually that means like an acquisition or like a creation of something. SoFi last night diluted $1.5 billion of shareholders. What did they do? They opened up a treasury. So there's other companies that are doing that. Not just quantum, like you're also seeing it in fintech.
True.
Yeah. So that was news to my ears. Anyways, here's the part where he talks about the move to the USA.
Also big market, but it's more fragmented, means that you have to go country by country, whether in the United States you have immediately 300 million consumers, right? And they need that level of security.
Because I know everybody's excited about SealCoin. So why the $30 million investment into the crypto treasury?
Yeah, maybe first to give you more color on this.
When he started to hesitate here, just to quickly comment, I was like, oh no, is this going to be a make or break moment? But the way he handled it was amazing. So let's watch it.
Satellite, because we have 21 satellite in orbit. So we are one of the largest private satellite constellations. We can anytime, any day, visit one location in the planet 3 times a day. So your office or satellites will be near to your office every day 3 times. And that means globally. That means in Asia, that means in the middle of the sea, that means in the middle of the desert. So this is already good enough for some clients that they are starting to use that constellation to track and trace their object, like a container in the middle of the sea. Connects with the satellite because the container is sending signals to the satellite, and the integrity of the container has not been compromised, and the container is being traveling from point A to point B. So all that analytics go through the satellite. The other thing that satellite does is traceability of objects, so like a car in the middle of the roads, or a truck. I mean, everything market of traceability is very big. So our objective is to move to 100 satellite, which will give the same latency that we have of 3 times per day. We will increase that by hundreds of times per day. The satellite will cross a specific location. Higher is the latency, more clients you get, because then you become like a telco. More antennas you put, more coverage you give, more subscribers you get.
Sure.
So this is evolving. The good news is that we already send those satellites, and now many partners. We announced 2 days ago a deal with Endurosat, which is a European satellite company doing deals with Airbus and many big contractors. And we are creating this ecosystem of satellite manufacturers, and they're coming to us to even make it much bigger, the constellation. So the other thing we tested, because we have the satellite, is the possibility from the satellite, because the connectivity is global, to exchange crypto from orbit.
This is the use case right here, Majid. This, I kind of had an idea was coming, because he's talked about device-to-device transactions and machine-to-machine transactions, but now he's trying to do it through the blockchain. So let's hear what he has to say.
So we did a pilot with Hedera. Hedera is one of the leading blockchain companies in Switzerland. Right. And the thinking was, what about if an object needs to buy data from another object, how this payment is done? Let's say one drone buys data from another drone, a parrot drone buys data from another parrot drone. How you get paid? So we developed SteelCoin, which is a machine-to-machine payment token that allows you basically to create a machine economy. All those objects, they pay each other, and it's the satellite, the one that does the settlement. So basically, the satellite acts like the connector between those objects, because the satellite knows and has the identity of the object and can be traced from the space. So that's a very new way of creating a digital economy from the space. Space is going to be the next frontier, and it's a lot of excitement. People coming to us to say, "Oh, we want to use the constellation to do blockchain in space. We want to put nodes in the space." So it's opening a huge amount of interaction, which, by the way, increases the appeal of SealSQ, because SealSQ has the sensors and the chips, right? And the satellite, they're talking to them. So by creating a big ecosystem of objects, more satellites are required, and having more satellite, more connectivity you can provide to your chips. So it's a win-win-win. And then,
so just to kind of briefly talk about this as well, to dive a little bit deeper. He's talking about the sensors and the chips, right? In previous interviews, Majid, remember when I believe it was the first interview you and I did together, is I said that even with the military, they're able to get the sensors. And if SealSQ is the only company that's doing that, that's massive, right? One thing I will criticize about this, and it's more about, I wish Carlos would kind of elaborate on it, but I can kind of understand why he didn't say it, is because of everything that's going on with the other treasuries, because I'm tracking the Ethereum treasuries and the Bitcoin treasuries in particular, there's always going to be the threat of diluting. So, and it's going to be volatile based on how Bitcoin and Ethereum move. But I think this is a strategic move, because Carlos has probably been paying very, very close attention to the conflict between two tickers, which are SharpLink Gaming, SBET, and BMNR, which is Tom Lee's Ethereum treasury. And I think Ethereum's actually going to do very, very well. But I like how he's hedged and leveraged. He's got Bitcoin, he's got Ethereum, he's got Weekend token that's on the Solana network, he's going to have SealCoin, and he's going to have HBAR. So one thing I like about it is there's a good use case. He's trying to go big and bold with digital connectivity. He's putting, obviously, the chips in the satellite to prevent any quantum attacks so that nothing can get intercepted and nobody's Bitcoin can get broken into or what have you.
So one thing that occurred to me watching Carlos talk is I understand why he has all these business partnerships.
Right.
Because he's just a likable guy. He's easy to talk to. He explains really complex topics in digestible ways. And understanding that there's a deeper reason beyond just, we're like cooler technologies, like, we're just going to throw millions into some trash coin. Right.
Yeah.
And knowing that Carlos is literally in this business of securing, there's actually maybe even a business reason beyond the investment thesis or whatnot, whether or not you like coins or not. His company may be very integral in safeguarding those.
Correct. And that goes back to the use case, right? And this is this whole idea of convergence and synergy. He's doing this because he's trying to show people he's big, he's bold, he's trying to create the ecosystem. Again, it's something that I did not understand when I first invested in the company, but as I've done deeper due diligence and really learned and now had this opportunity to interview Carlos, to me, everything kind of makes sense, right? And I think this interview in particular is really going to wake a lot of investors up. So it's really exciting. I wanted to end with this last clip because everybody on Reddit, on YouTube, when I like DM people, the first question they ask me is, why no contracts? Why no contracts? Why no contracts? Why no US contracts? Let's listen to what he has to say. US contracts coming.
Yeah, I mean, we have them already. I mean, 50.
We have them already. We have them already. Stop asking the question. Let's have a look.
50% of our revenue is US revenue, right?
And 50, right? 50%?
50%. Okay. He just said 50% of his revenue, the revenue that they get, regardless of what the number is, currently it's US. So I also think, Majid, a lot of it's going to expand into Europe, but I think they're going to start getting even more revenue from the US. So that number could fluctuate. We'll see what happens. But as he talked about, the US has a lot of concentration in terms of their population density in one specific area, where Europe's a little bit more scattered. So it's a little more difficult to get that ecosystem. Right. Let's have a look at what he had to say, though.
Those contracts are already, I mean, in microchips, you don't have a contract per se. Okay. The company will buy chips from you historically. You know, Cisco has acquired already 100 million chips from us historically.
There you go. So he completely debunked it. He said, like, you don't need contracts. All you need to do is sell naked chips. And he just confirmed that Cisco is one of the biggest buyers. 100 million chips. It's a lot of chips.
That is a lot of chips.
Yeah. And if he scales that to the trillions, that's 100x. So, I mean, you know, let's watch the rest of the clip, though.
And as we increment the technology, they're going to be incrementing the contract. So those contracts get bigger and bigger and bigger because we are giving to them what they need and what they need on their deployment. Our strategy is to capture the way we call foundational clients that they can create ecosystem of ourselves. For instance, Cisco, we are securing Cisco routers with the chips, right? But Cisco routers are connected to millions of devices in the United States. Everything goes through a Cisco router, right? So while we talk to them and say, what about if together we go to hospital, we go to airports, we go to government offices, defense, and we teach them how to connect a Cisco router chip with their own chip, which we will install for them. So that creates new customers, right?
Right.
And that's the way you sell it. You don't go just by winning a contract and announcing a contract. It's by building the ecosystem, which they start to create interoperability with what we call foundational partners. The same thing we have with Medtronic, is another client of ours in the United States. This is for the medical sector. We just acquired a company with the name IC Ops a few months ago. Which is going to be, it's only subject now to the authorization by the French government, which should be there anytime soon now.
That is awesome. So we know that that's been in the pipeline. It's going to be anytime. It's just up to the French government to approve it. Great. And yeah, no, like
I know I've been covering that one for a while.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's great too, Bijid, that like, again, he completely debunked it, and he said like 100 million chips to Cisco routers, and now they're trying to go even bigger, right? So airports, banks, institutions, you name it, like they're trying to capitalize. Even he talked about healthcare, right? That's gonna be because we know that AI is coming in the healthcare industry as well. So it's just really nice to see that regarding this interview, that he touched on a lot of different points. There's a lot of exciting things happening in Q3 and Q4. And it's really nice to see that he's not doing the traditional factory. He's just setting up more of a distribution center where they're going to be able to have the chips come in and then being able to be distributed out to their clients. So those were my favorite parts of the interview. And I'm just so happy I was able to give that to the retail community, because I think it was needed and it was well important. Because let's be honest, the stock's been gotten pretty beaten down badly the last couple weeks. And so it was nice to see a little bit of redemption today.
Yeah. And me personally, since I invest in SealSQ, I'm patient. I'm probably more patient than most investors. I know a lot of people are looking for that 50x. And if they don't get that 50x in a week, then it's on to the next thing. And then it's on to options. Then it's on to margin. Then it's back to grandma's basement type of thing.
Exactly.
And I think some patience, like the story has to unfold still. But
Correct.
When you have transparency, that's something that I value in Rigetti, for example. That's why one of the main reasons I'm so bullish on Rigetti is because they are honest about where they're at. And in this interview, I didn't hear a bunch of promises, like promises of tomorrow. We heard, we're up, it was a very grounded conversation. This is what we've been doing. This is what we plan to do. And I think that's valuable. It's valuable for a CEO to take the time to articulate why they're an investable company. It's important that we as investors also, and this is just a shining example, I think, of how retail can take matters into their own hands. And I want to give congratulations to you again for landing this interview and doing such a great job with it, because there's just so much to unpack. So to round out this video, I just have a couple quick questions for you, kind of a lightning round, and then we'll get your socials and call it a video. So you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So what was if you had to narrow it down to 2 or 3 things, what were the 2 or 3 things that stood out the most out of this hour plus interview?
Clarification of the treasuries, the exciting expansion of what they're going to be doing with their chips, and the amount of chips that they're planning on distributing in the years to come got me really excited, and it reignited the fire into this investment for me.
Awesome. And so if you were to interview him again someday, was there any question that you missed that you wish you asked and you'll ask next time?
Sure. I want to know why leadership has kind of a lower investment share count than other companies. And I want to know if they have a plan of buying back shares within the next 4 to 5 years, because I think investors have the right to know that. And I think I failed to ask that question today, just granted with the amount of time that I had.
Yeah, and I don't think you had unlimited time or unlimited questions, and I think you got out a lot of the questions. You were, anytime I brought you onto the show, you've always been prepared, and you were absolutely prepared for this interview. You already had strong conviction going into this interview, and does your timeline change? Do you now that you have more information from the CEO himself? I know you said before, you think that this company will have a big move potentially. Do you think it's possible that it'll just take time for this story to unfold, or are you still more near term with your thinking?
I'm definitely both. So when I invested in the company deep down, I don't know if I ever revealed it on the channel before, but I always gave myself a 4-year timeline, because I've been in companies before where I've invested, and I understand, like, you need the thesis to play out.
Sure.
And the best way that you can do that is to leverage your time. Your money's already being put to work, so let the market do its thing, and it'll reward you handsomely. Yeah, you got to go through the mud, and you got to eat crap here and there. It's part of the game, and every retail investor that has deep conviction and long conviction on stocks that have done very well in the markets, they already know this. So it shouldn't be kind of like a strange moment to me. It's just more about, I want people to be excited to know that this company has a lot of exponential potential. Again, do your own due diligence. I've done mine, so this is why I'm kind of speaking about it. But I still see Q4 being a very monumental move, because once they start bringing out more data, the late September earnings call, new developments with Parrot and IC Alps and Weekend Token and the integration of the crypto, I think the move's just going to be exponential. And we know what happens into Santa Claus rallies, Majid. They're insane. We saw it with the quantum explosion in December. What's to say it's not going to happen again this year?
Sure. All right, Fabio, so much to digest. It's exciting to hear from our the companies that we invest in from their leadership. And congratulations and great job again. Where can people find you? Is my next
Absolutely.
question.
So you can find me on all things social media: Twitch, Kick, YouTube, X. And I'm just really looking forward to continuing to evolve with this SealSQ story and to be able to bring the quantum retailers that support this company along with all the amazing quantum companies that we cover as a collective. We're going on this journey together, and we got a bright future ahead of us. It's a hot sector, so let's go on it together.
Agreed. And I stayed until the very last second of that interview, and Carlos did say he's going to set you up with other interviews in the company. So I'll be personally watching closely as I learn more about the company. Like, it's hard because I invest in a lot of different companies. So it's hard for me to know everything about every company. So I'm very much following your coverage and look forward to potential future interviews that you might have with SealSQ.
Yeah. And people will know. And Majid, you'll always, and, I'm looking forward to, keeping both communities updated. But thank you again, as always. Really appreciate your time. I always appreciate and respect the fact that you continue to reach out to me to bring me on the channel and be able to get my thoughts, my opinions, and my takes on things. It only allows us to grow as a community, as retail investors, because I think as a collective, we are stronger together. And, we're going to take the institutions down.
Or they're going to bring us up, actually, is how I look at it.
You know what? That's right. Let us bring them up. Thanks, Majid. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man. Good seeing you. We'll see you in the next one, man.
Take care.
All right, guys, that was a really fun interview. It's so cool to see retail investors take matters into their own hands, and I learned a lot. If you would like to support the channel, I do have channel memberships here on YouTube. If you join as a gold bull or above, then you get to join our Discord. Fabio's in the Discord. If you want to ever ask him any questions or talk to him, you just click subscribe on the channel, the little plus button, and it'll give you the options there. Would love to have your support as we continue to make content for the quantum community. Thanks, everyone.